Guatemala, the printing of ballots for the second round of the elections that will define the next president and vice president of the country is processing. On Monday, Russian Defense Minister confirmed thousands of Ukrainian casualties and emphasized the advance of the Russian armed forces in the fight. In Niger, protests continuing in front of the French embassy in the capital, Niger, following the overthrow of the president, Mohamed Bazoum. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. In Guatemala, the printing of ballots for the second round of the elections that will define the next president and vice president of the country is progressing. The 9,486,000 ballots are expected to be delivered next August the 4th, according to the schedule of the Supreme Electoral Tribunal. It was possible to know the position of the political organizations of the ballots. The Semilla movement, led by Bernardo Arevalo, will be on the left side, while on the right side will be the representation of the National Unity of Hope Party with candidate Sandra Torres.
We are also concerned because the data entry clerks are temporary workers. They are young people from the locality. They were chosen locally by the coordinators. So we are concerned about them because just for a few days of work, we can put them in a difficult situation when they are citizens. Apart from the fact that most of them are young, there are also people a little older, but most of them are young, and they are providing a service to the country.
Also in Guatemala, National Prosecutor Juan Gerardo Guerrero denounced the arbitrary use of justice to interfere in the electoral process in the country.
For us, Judge Freddy Orellana and the Special Prosecutor's Office Against Impunity have committed a series of acts that clearly allow us to include it in the figure of executory life, because they are overreaching and continue using the law against organized crime and also continue using the law of money laundering or other assets to criminalize the members of the political party.
In Peru, hundreds of citizens from different regions of the country gathered in the capital Lima to participate in the protests against the government of Dina Boluarte. There, they set up a large solidarity movement ranging from donations of food and household goods to funds training activities to continue the protests. Let's learn more about their stories on a following report from our correspondent Alejandra Elias.
More than 100 citizens from the southern Andean region of Tacna, Ayacucho, Puno, among others, who participated in the protests against the government of Dina Boluarte that began last July 19, are taking refuge in a shelter located in the historic center of Lima. Through fundraising, cleaning, cooperative meetings, kitchen help, and food distribution, the sheltered citizens have created a system to help them subsist during the days of demonstrations.
All of us here are mostly independent, and we, as an organization, are here to support each other and the brothers who are here resting. The young people, we support them with a place where they can stay.
Many of them were present at the first and second Lima takeovers. However, Dina Boluarte's continuity in power and the stigmatization attributed to the protesting citizens have caused the demonstrations to resume.
A lot of racism here in the center of Lima. They treat us badly, they call us terrorists. If the fight we are doing is for them too, it is not only for us, it is for all of Peru. It is not just for us, it is for all of Peru. It is the fight against corruption.
Likewise, after almost 8 months without answers or guilties for the first murders caused by the law enforcement during the protest period, the indignation and disapproval towards the state has been increasing, which has been one of the main factors for citizens to continue with the demonstration and get away from their families and regions to raise their voice.
With this they have killed our brothers or humble peasants, and I tell them, I will say to the dead, to those who have been murdered, and the missing ones, that there should be justice.
The people present in the shelters were self-convened, citizens who, with their own savings and donations, have been able to travel and stay in the capital. In this way, they deny any type of illegal financing, as the executive branch initially claimed.
I am self-convened, and I want to clarify that nobody finances us. No drug trafficking, nothing. We are self-convened, and we have come here with our own means. And of course, the repression has been strong.
Although the protests in Lima are ceasing and citizens are leaving for their regions, further demonstrations will be called in different parts of the country during the rest of the year. Meanwhile, the rejection of President Dina Boluarte and the Congress of the Republic continues to grow. In a recent report by the Institute of Peruvian Studies, 81.6% of Peruvians disapprove Boluarte's administration, and 90.4% of citizens disapprove the performance of the Congress, thus becoming one of the governments with the least support representativeness in recent years.
Firma desde Perú, Alejandra Elías para teleSUR.
Let's take a short break, but remember, you can now follow us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. For many years, Brazil had the largest enslaved African population in the world, and during this period, many slaves escaped and formed free societies called quilombos. Today, many of these societies still exist. Our correspondent Brian Muir has the details.
For 388 years, Brazil had the world's largest population of enslaved African people. During this period, tens of thousands escaped and formed free societies called quilombos in remote areas of the countryside. Today, many of these villages still exist. Called quilombolas, the residents have a special legal status similar to that of indigenous people.
There are people who understand us. They understand that we are from a quilombo and they take us seriously. But there are other people who don't treat us with respect. They don't understand us and spread malicious gossip.
After years of protest, the Brazilian Institute of Geography and Statistics finally included quilombola residents as a special category in its 2020 census, which was delayed for 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. On July 27th, it announced the results. There are 1.3 million people living in quilombolas in 1,696 Brazilian counties.
Our social movements fought hard to improve this census, and it's very important because with this census, we know what the quilombola population is in every county and state in Brazil. And this will give us more access to our rights to public policies.
Brian Muir, teleSUR, 11 Negras, Pernambuco.
On Monday, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu confirmed dozens of Ukrainian casualties and emphasized the advance of the Russian armed forces in the south. According to Shoigu, the Ukrainian military lost over 20,800 troops and more than 2,200 items of military hardware, including 10 Leopard tanks over the past month. Additionally, the defense minister thanks the entire Russian military personnel participating in the special military operation in Ukraine for their service, courage, and heroism. The President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, began a two-day official visit to Philippines on Monday, meeting with the country's President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. in Manila. Von der Leyen seeks to revitalize EU-Philippines bilateral relations and address issues such as trade and green and digital transition and security, according to a statement from the European Union. In China, authorities have renewed the red alert as a typhoon Shuri hit the northern region of the Asian giant. China's National Meteorological Service reported that rainfall levels have increased by up to 60 millimeters per hour. The agency reported heavy rains will continue in Beijing, Tianjin, and Hebei provinces where thousands of people have been affected. According to an official report, heavy rains left 2 dead and up to the country on high alert due to the floods and landslide. Meanwhile, authorities report that parts of the outskirts of the capital are at risk of skin holes and landslide. They also point out that rains are consequences of the typhoon Shuri, which caused at least 6 deaths in Philippines and is not affecting the Asian nation. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you will be able to watch our new interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. One financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Niger, protests continue in front of the French embassy in the capital, Niamey, following the overthrow of President Mohamed Bazoum, while bordering countries threaten to resort the force to restore constitutional order. Thousands of supporters of Niger's military coup junta marched through the streets of the capital, strongly condemning French for its interventionism statements against the African nation. Demonstrators attacked the French embassy, demanding the withdrawal of all foreign military personnel from the country. This Monday, Burkina Faso and Mali's governments warned in a joint communique that military intervention in Niger to restore the elected president Mohamed Bazoum, defeated by the coup, will be considered a declaration of war against both governments. The transitional government of Burkina Faso and Mali are deeply distributed and shocked by the imbalance observed between, on the one hand, the spent and adventurous attitude of some West African political leaders who want to use the power of armed forces to restore constitutional order in the sovereign country, and on the other hand, the inaction, indifference, and passive complicity of these organizations and political leaders to help these states and peoples who have been victims of terrorism for a decade and abandoned to their fate. On Sunday, a total curfew was imposed in the state in northeastern Nigeria, where hundreds of residents in massive looting of shops and public warehouses where food was served. Nigerians living in the streets started the looting, but were soon joined by the hundreds of residents who entered this place where food, especially cereals, was served by taking them away. Local police said security personnel had been deployed to enforce the curfew and prevent further looting. On Monday, leading Senegalese opposition figure Ousmane Sonko was charged with fomenting insurgency, and his party was dissolved, stoking concern about further unrest 2 months after fatal clashes. Sonko, a presidential candidate of President Macky Sall's fierce critic, has faced a string of legal hosts which he claims have been designed to keep him out of politics. His 2 years prison sentence last month in a moral corruption case triggered clashes that left several people dead.
We demand Sonko's immediate release and that the authorities restore the internet connection. We expect him to be released and to make a statement calling for an end to the demonstrations. We also call for the release of all political prisoners who have been arbitrarily and illegally detained.
If Ousmane Sonko is arrested, the whole of Senegal will come to a standstill. The state must release Sonko if it wants peace to return. Sonko is our leader. We carry him in our hearts and will do whatever he asks us to do. As long as he is in prison, we will keep fighting, even if it takes all eternity. We'll never give up.
According to authorities in Pakistan, 54 people were killed on Sunday in a suicide bombing at an Islamic party rally. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack, which also left some 200 people injured in Bayur district in the northwestern province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. A preliminary investigation points to the regions affiliated on the Islamic State. Local media caught eyewitnesses describing a sense of panic after the attack as first responders and ambulances arriving on the scene.
I have a complaint to the state institution. We have not harmed the state. We have never defied state law. We are scarifying our lives, and our scholars and leaders have told us not to pick up guns and stay peaceful. But for how long?
Member countries of the Organizations of Islamic Cooperation held a virtual emergency meeting of foreign ministers on Monday to address the discreditation of the Holy Book of the Quran following several burnings of copies in Sweden and Denmark. The Secretary General of the Organizations of the Islamic Cooperation, Hussein Ibrahim Taha, called on Denmark to take the necessary measures to prevent the burning of copies of the Quran in recent weeks in Copenhagen ahead of an emergency meeting to be held between 57 Muslim countries to agree on a response to these actions, the organization said. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials from Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.
TeleSUR